We're going to be making some breakfast sausage together today. We recently cleaned out our freezers and there was some pork in our deep freeze that we need to do something with. It's been in there for a little while. We need to get it out and make some room, and thought it'd be a perfect opportunity to make some breakfast sausage because that's something that we need and we will use if it's in our freezer ready for us. So I pulled the meat out and have had it thawing. If you were going to buy meat at the store to do this with, you could look for a Boston butt, and y'all, you could get ground sausage. If you grind this yourself, not only do you get to customize the flavor that you want, but you can do it for half the price versus just going and buying breakfast sausage already ground at the store. So that's something to think about. I actually have a few breakfast sausage seasoning recipes. The one that I'm going to use today has sage, thyme, salt and pepper, some red pepper flakes, coriander, and cumin. I'll type it out for you and put it down in the description box, the amounts per pound. I have a new grinder that I'm really excited to try out and use today, so we'll see how this thing works together. This is going to be a new experience for me, grinding my own breakfast sausage. Justin has ground breakfast sausage before, ground venison. He's done all those things, but this is going to be a first for me, so I guess we'll figure it out together. And if all else fails, I'll call on him to come and help me. First thing I need to do is take my meat and get it cut up into chunks, and then I'm going to put it in the freezer for just a minute, because one of the biggest things when it comes to grinding meat, especially if there's a decent amount of fat content to it, is to make sure it's really, really cold, even slightly frozen, so that the fat doesn't melt as it goes through the grinder and get gummy and clog things up. So I'm going to cut my pork into chunks and put it in the freezer for just a little while so that it's really good and cold. And then I'll catch back up with you.
Let's get all this cut up. There's no real method that I'm using here other than to cut it into chunks that will fit into my grinder. A pretty good ratio for breakfast sausage is 80-20 when it comes to how much fat you have in your breakfast sausage. So 80% lean, 20% fat. What we're making today is probably a little leaner than that because it's what we had. It's what I had in my freezer and it's what I wanted to use. If you wanted to separate your meat and your fat and weigh them out and get it just right, you could. If you were going to buy something from the store, a Boston butt would give you about 80-20, but I'm not fretting over it too much. I'm using what I had, and it's going to be just fine.
Kind of hard to see the number on this scale. Let's see. I think it says, yeah, there we go. So 8.5 pounds of meat. Let's do some math. Half a teaspoon of sage per pound. I have 8.5 pounds, so I need 4.25 teaspoons. 2, 3, 4 and 1/4. There's a chicken on the porch. Same amount of salt. You want to come help? You can come help with this. We gotta do 4 of these, okay? So this is salt. So it's half a teaspoon of salt per pound. So we need 4.25. So that's 1. 2.
Okay,
3. Hang on, let me make sure we got it full. 4. And just a little bit more.
And 5.
Good job. Thyme now. So it's 1/4 teaspoon of thyme per pound. 1.
1 and
2.
40.
Okay. Now we gotta do pepper.
the pepper?
It's half a teaspoon of pepper per pound.
Mama, can you
You can do that when it's time. Just hang on.
Hang on,
Let me make sure I have our math right. All right, here we go. Ready? Count to 4 again. 1. Wyatt, you want to do this one? Let Wyatt do this one.
Okay.
2.
Okay.
You want to do this one?
Mommy,
3.
Brother.
Cumin. This is what we need. It's a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin per pound. Can you get that off? I couldn't get it off the other day when I was making chili. I had to sit there and shake it. Sure. All right, you do this one.
3.
1.
1.
You ain't gonna be able to reach from there. How are you gonna reach to put it in?
You'll hear us talk about this later in the video, but next time I think we will omit the cumin.
Next one we need is coriander.
Go.
That's coriander. Good job. It's a half a teaspoon of coriander per pound. This right here. See if you can get that shaker off. We need a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes per pound. Sure.
Mama have it.
Hang on, wait. Let me scoot you over. You're the high chair. All right, here, you do this one. Shake it all over. Shake, 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 shake.
I want it.
Do you?
And
Right. Now, Fletch can do this one.
Shake, 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 shake.
Very good. Thank you, sir. So this is the coriander. We need half a teaspoon of coriander per pound. All the measurements are going to be in the description box for you.
Mama made. Mama made you.
2.
2. Welcome to that.
3.
Mama made that. Mama made that. Mama made that. Mama made that. Mama me. I want my soup.
Don't sling it out.
Applying it.
You're going to have to wait a second.
Mama, get out. Mama, get out.
There's so many variations that you could do when it comes to... Uh-oh, come here, I'll kiss it. Come here, I'll kiss it. Did you bump your noggin? There you go. There's so many variations you could do when it comes to how you season this. That's why we make things at home, right? You can make it just like you would like it. I have another piece of meat in the freezer that I'm going to make more sausage out of, and I'm going to do that one sweet with some maple syrup and keep this one more savory with our sage and our thyme and our cumin and coriander. Okay, this is good and coated. I'm going to put it in the freezer while I get my grinder set up. This bowl will get really good and cold. The meat will stay really cold, and it will make it easier to grind. This grinder has this neat storage area in the back of it. I have these plates back here. I'm going to get out the ones that I am going to use today.
I'm going to spare you having to hear the sound of the grinder running, but I did want to say, to be a meat grinder, yes, it's going to make noise, but it was not as loud as some that I've heard in the past. And y'all, it flew through this meat like it was nothing. I went back and looked at the timestamps because I did record the whole time that I was grinding this meat, and it took less than 5 minutes to go through the 8.5 pounds of meat. I also had debated on whether or not I was going to use this plate and then go back with a finer grind, but I ended up feeling like it didn't need it. This was the second to smallest grind that we had, and After we sent it through this one, I just kind of mixed it with my hands. I've heard that that's a great thing to do to really activate the proteins to help the sausage bind together. And I didn't feel like we needed to run it through for a second grind, but if you wanted to, you absolutely could. I also thought it was really neat that this grinder has 2 speed settings as well as a reverse button. Nothing got hung up. We did not have to use the reverse button at all, but if you were to have something that gets hung up, you could always use that reverse button to help you out. And then what you're going to see us doing next is we went ahead and made a couple of patties and cooked them up to see if we needed to add any more seasoning. And we did. We added more thyme, more sage, more salt, and more pepper.
Yeah, I did. All right, I'm going to pull this apart so we can get out any of the bits that are stuck in there. I pulled some of this and ran it back through. That way it should all be ground what's in here. Am I turning that the right way?
This is another little tip I've heard. If you make a patty and you mash it in your hand, you can hold your hand upside down and it doesn't fall off. Then it's mixed enough and it's ready to go.
Once it cooks up. Okay. Yeah, I think it's good too. I probably could have ran it through on the smaller one from the start, but first time trying this grinder, I didn't want to. I would see how it went. That's not the biggest one. There's some that's got bigger holes than that. That's the second to smallest one that I used. You want to try it? I didn't put much sage, but I couldn't really taste the sage. I knew you don't like a lot of sage. I think it's just salt. So we decided it just in general needs a little more seasoning. So I'm not going to put any more cumin or coriander because you can definitely taste that. But I'm going to put a little extra thyme, sage, pepper, and salt. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of parsley. Daniel Tiger playing in the background. Am I even recording? Yeah. It tasted really good. We just decided it needed more seasoning. It just wasn't quite breakfast sausage seasoning level. For us, at least. I'm going to get the vacuum sealer out. I had thought about making patties and freezing it in patties, but anytime we use this, we're using at least a pound of it. So I'm going to separate it and do, I think we're going to do 4 like this. So 4 pounds of what we have it seasoned as right now, and then add some cayenne pepper and extra red pepper flakes and do some that's hot. How many patties you want me to make?
Do what?
How many patties you want me to make?
A couple. Well, you don't want this one.
That's one that's split.
Unless you want a split one.
I don't know. Do a pound on each side.
I like this one.
I'm breaking out the old food saver. My new vacuum sealer just ain't been cutting it the last couple times I used it. Oh yeah, we could, couldn't we? Put it up. I was just gonna guesstimate, but we could weigh them. Oh, I was right there at it.
Right.
I mean, not even an extra ounce. Oh yeah, that one worked much better.
Good old food saver.
We're going to work on portioning these out into 1 pound packages. We decided to do 6 of the breakfast sausage like we had made it, and then do 2 hot breakfast sausage. But y'all, after we tried the hot, we were like, oh, we should have done more of this. It was so good. I added extra red pepper flakes and extra cayenne pepper. Well, I added cayenne pepper. I had not put any in. And it was so good. I measured with my heart, y'all, but it was probably about another half teaspoon of red pepper flakes per pound and a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And it had some heat, y'all. It had some heat, but it is really, really good. And you might have heard me say, but we broke out our old handy dandy trusty food saver. I have a newer vacuum sealer, and I can't remember the brand right off the top of my head, but it has just not worked real great the last 2 times I've tried to use it. So this time we brought out the food saver, and it did not let us down. It sealed everything perfectly.
I like it in these better.
I do too.
But there ain't no more of these in there.
Well, before we make more, we'll get some, because I've got a whole nother one of these hams in there. It's also just something we'll eat.
They'd leave the chili
Cumin.
spice out, don't you?
Well, every recipe, well, not every recipe, but several of them.
It takes it over. I mean, I like it. It's good to me, but you can tell that cumin's in it. That's what it tastes. It tastes like chili. That cumin powder.
These last 2 pounds we're going to make spicy. So I'm going to add extra red pepper flakes and a little cayenne pepper. Make it hot sausage. If you're gonna do it, should have crushed up. I done put this red pepper flake in here now. We could have crushed up some of our dried jalapeno. Just put it on the table. It's okay.
Pepper flake.
This is what we added the cayenne pepper and the extra red pepper flakes to, and y'all, I like this. Oh, this is my favorite. This is so good. And hey, all of these pieces washed up so easy. I'm just gonna let them dry, and then I'll put the grinder back together, and it can wait till we use it again. We have 6 pounds of breakfast sausage, just the regular, and then 2 packs of the hot. And now we've taken something that was just sitting in the bottom of the freezer, not getting used, and turned it into something that we will use. I'm going to get all this put away in the freezer. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Y'all get in the kitchen and make some memories with the people you love. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all. Say it. Okay.
Bye, y'all.
Okay, you too. Come on.
Bye, y'all.